Alright guys, Scrappy again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. With the World Cup on the horizon, a big question that's been going around the community since the World Championship has been who still is the best controller FPS player of all time. There's always a debate, best esports player, best FPS player, but certainly when it comes down to controller, it used to kind of be on the console side, but now it's PC and console, of course, with what's happened over the last couple of years. Who's the best controller player ever? FormaL has been the de facto answer for some time, but FormaL himself admitted that Shotzzy might just be the best player that he's ever seen, and Shotzzy now himself says he believes that he's now number one after this most recent World Championship win. Very much enjoyed to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Plenty to get into. Hamza Frosty here, by the way, dropping 532 kills in a free-for-all. He's on the grind ready to go. This, by the way, was kind of crazy. 7 years ago, yesterday now, was the World Championship win. 7 years ago. Is it really that long ago? But it seemingly is. This was in Orlando, wasn't it? This World Championship, of course, Infinite Warfare way back in 2017. Just interesting to think how it was quite late in the year, right? All things considered. The World Championship last year in 2023 was in June. This year was in July. And, back then was in August. And it was pretty common to have this, right? Events running to August, September, then the new game would come out. Even way back in, let's say, Ghost, Advanced Warfare, stuff like this. When Champs was in, like, March or April, they still ran events later into the year, like the MLG World Finals and stuff back in Advanced Warfare and all this. So, it's cool to see that the season is going a bit longer this year with the World Cup actually being a thing around about the same time that the OpTic boys won Champs 7 years ago. Quick update on this Oxygen Esports situation, Boston breach, really. So, well, the rumor is that they're effectively going to do a Los Angeles Grillers. That was talked about a few days ago now, that they're just going to blow up their entire team and call it a day in esports, effectively. So, there was an understanding that by the 8th of August, the players were getting kicked out of their apartments, all sorts of drama, and whether or not that happened, who really knows. This was JKL's update yesterday. So, Oxygen Esports are kind of like, if Boston wasn't a franchise team called Boston Breach, they would be Oxygen Esports, right? That's how it would be. That's their team in other esports, like Valorant and such. So that's what we might expect. Their staff are expecting a meeting early this week to find out more on their current situation, as the board/shareholder meeting was pushed back from last Friday. But apparently, there's no update yet. So the update is there isn't really an update for these guys. No news is probably not good news, but then again, it's probably not going to be that good news anyway. So maybe the further we don't hear anything about this, the more likely it is that, clearly they're considering what they can actually do, because the problem that you find if you're trying to get out of esports is the Los Angeles Guerrillas problem, where you've got to sell your team to someone. And last year, no one was going to pay any sort of money to Guerrillas to buy their spots, especially now that the spots are effectively worthless, right? Because they're refunding the money. So, if Boston really do want to get out of it and Robert Kraft is deciding to effectively pull the plug, then it's probable that they've got to figure out all the implications, like what happens to their team, how could, can they sell the spot, are they able to, how do they get the money back from Activision, all these other questions that are probably slightly complicated. So that maybe is why, but hoping the best, of course, for all involved and affected by this. And, are Boston going to be the next organization to call it a day? I mean, it is kind of incredible to think about that we've only had this league for like 4 or 5 years, and there's only been 12 teams, but yet so many of the teams are gone or destroyed, or the brand has changed on some level. Like, of course, Huntsman are long gone, OpTic Gaming Los Angeles are long gone, Dallas Empire, unfortunately, are long gone, Florida Mutineers, and now, of course, Miami Heretics, Boston Breach might be dusted, New York Subliners are becoming Cloud9, so that's gone as well, and then, who knows what about the Guerrillas, right? I think that's the key question, because last year, Guerrillas decided to do the same thing that Boston are probably presently doing and get out of esports entirely, but they were forced to field a roster because no one wanted to buy it, and contractually they were obligated to field a team. That's what they did. They paid the bare minimum, and it actually worked out for them rather well. They managed to make it to the World Championship, but I think this year the feeling is it ain't going to be happening anymore, especially because they haven't even sent their team to the Esports World Cup, which, is not ideal. Kenny did confirm in a Q&A, by the way, the other day that he's absolutely not retiring anytime soon. I know that it was a talking point, I think even last year or whatever, for Kenny, whether he's going to retire. I think some players, you know, I can see it, right? Especially when they're in the later part of their career, they've been around for so long, maybe they're not quite the player that they used to be. They got to consider retirement situations. Obviously, there's been talk about Dashy as well, but I don't really buy any ideas like that. Kenny, I don't really know whether rumours emerged about him retiring over the last couple of years, but Kenny just emphatically shut them down in his Q&A and said, yeah, I'm one of the younger players in the league. I ain't going anywhere anytime soon. I love this. Like, he's not going to retire. And look, he's got 2 World Championship rings now. In Kenny's head, he'll probably think, I should have at least 3, possibly even 4. He was in the Grand Finals in 2018 and 2019, won neither of them. And now he's been in the finals 22 and 24, and he's won both of them. So, incredible career for Kenny so far. I mean, even just looking at the record, right, because he only came around in 2018. And so for the World Championships that he's been able to attend, 18, 19, 20 was online, so kind of cheese, but, you know, whatever. We'll talk about that more in a second, actually, on the Shotzzy angle. Of all the World Championships that he's gone to, you know, let's say 7 champs, he's been in the finals of 4 and 1 too, so it's a good return. And basically what he says is when he does eventually retire, he's going to write a book on his career and on everything that he's learned, and, you know, he says it's going to be very entertaining. The other very entertaining thing from yesterday, though, was the Hot Wings episodes that OpTic did with Shotzzy. Hitch does such a good job of this. I know that even when they did the one with Scump, Sean Evans himself from the original, like, Hot Ones thing, he was in the replies and basically saying, oh, well, you guys did a great job here. And it's cool to see because it's basically, you know, they've copied the format, obviously, but it seems the Hot Ones guys are happy with that, and OpTic just do a great job of this, and Hitch really killed it, as did Shotzzy in this episode as well. But what was interesting really was right towards the end, and sure, at this point Shotzy's had a fair few hot wings, so whether he's thinking straight, I don't know, but he seems to be pretty convinced by his answer, and I would expect him to give this answer, given, you know, the nature of the competitor that he is, and I would expect FormaL to give the same answer. But he was asked the question by Hitch, who is the greatest console or controller, shall we say, FPS player ever?
All right, last true or false. You are the greatest FPS controller player of all time. True or false?
True. Tight shit.
Fuck yeah. And FormaL can't say anything because he's not gonna ever do this.
Oh my god, dude, that fucking dude fucked me, dude.
All right, you ready?
Yes.
Last one.
Shotzzy's on Inflow say he's the best COD player I've ever seen. I'm not even trolling him.
He's unbelievable.
He's just so unbelievably impactful. It's insane, bro.
Yes.
No, it's I think it's the truth, bro. He's literally insane. He'll just drag a team to whatever, like
Halo kids, man.
You should hear the way they talk about him too. Dude, he was destroying Halo. He was fucking people up in Halo, bro. They talk about him like he's God.
Really?
Yeah, dude, this kid's simple as fucking telling you.
This guy has been on the exit for 9 hours. Bro, what are you doing, Chris? What are you doing? You're dropped. You're actually dropped.
You're dropped. You're dropped. No, you're dropped.
Nope.
Bro, regain.
Nope, you're dropped.
Regain.
Gifted or you're dropped. Gifted or you're dropped. Nope.
Gifted.
Nope. Yeah, and you have to give me now or you're dropped. That's the rule.
Oh.
The guy who's running this. So you're either in or you're out, buddy. I'll be taking your SR or giving you some.
Dan, he said, "Who the f are you?"
Because I know you can't beat me and Carol. So you can pick up anyone you want, but you're not beating me and Carol.
Get off and go stroke my shit.
Okay, see ya.
Okay, fine.
5 gifted, you're going to stroke, brother.
Go spin I'm for me, not bro. gifted Okay. you anything, bro. Go spin your fucking
Okay,
video.
then you're dropped, bro. You're out of here.
I gifted you enough. I gifted you your entire COD career on OpTic Gaming.
Oh, shit.
Dude, here we go, bro. Here we go.
Oh shit! Honestly, chat, how many gifted to keep him talking crazy? How many gifted? We don't need these bad vibes here.
So what do you guys think about this debate in the comments section below? This was FormaL's player card when he retired from Call of Duty, right? So he played 71 pro events in COD, he won 23 events in COD, made 31 grand finals, of course won champs only once, champs in COD, but he also won champs in Halo, average COD champs KD with a $1.2 million earned, series win-loss 71%, of course. This is across his COD career from Ghost all the way through to the end of Cold War, when he then decided to call it a day, and of course return to something else. So FormaL's career is legendary, and like there's really no other question as to who the greatest controller player is of all time than FormaL, just because he's won in multiple different esports, which is, you know, obviously you can look at guys like Crim, you can look at guys like Ogre 2, for example, from Halo, and there's other names as well that come to mind, but someone that was able to transcend both of those premium level franchises and win championships and world championships on both, that is kind of like, if FormaL has done that, which he has, then that's going to be the criteria, that's going to be the standard if you want to be considered as good as FormaL in terms of best controller player ever. So FormaL has kind of undoubtedly been the man to stop on this, certainly after he won the 2022 Halo World Championship, right? So FormaL won championships in Halo way back in the day, then he joins COD, he eventually gets to OpTic over the next couple of years, dominates the scene with the Dynasty really, even after the Dynasty ended, goes to Luminosity Gaming, still wins an event again next season at Fort Worth, then eventually comes back to OpTic, has the run with OpTic Chicago, with Chicago Huntsmen, and then when his time was over, he was going to retire from playing entirely and just be a content creator, but he loved the Halo Infinite game, he played it, and he won the World Championship the very next year and made the finals again last year. And it's not like he's been getting carried, right? Like FormaL, okay, he might not be the best player on his team technically, with Lucid and Trippy and everything, absolutely frying, but he's definitely right up there and has still been absolutely phenomenal, right? So that kind of cemented FormaL's legacy as the best controller player ever. But Shotzzy now has a case to be made as well, you can very well say. He was 11th on Ronnie's list of best players ever, and look, his average placing, obviously he's got 3 World Championship rings now, 2 in COD, 1 in Halo. He's obviously won over 3 different COD titles, excluding, Cold War was the one that he didn't make it work on, as of course was last year as well in Modern Warfare 2. But look, only 7 tournament wins. I think this is the debate really for Shotzzy, right? That even though you've got players, even such as FormaL himself, saying how unbelievably good Shotzzy actually is, and for very good reason, because he is a phenomenal talent. He won the World Championship in Halo, Shotzzy, back in 2018. This is kind of like the key factor at play that gives Shotzzy a chance to be number 1 right now, is that he won champs in Halo back in 2018, comes to COD, wins champs in 2020 in COD, then he goes, obviously continues on in COD, and has won it now again in 2024, being one of the best players in the entire game, and arguably, one of the most impactful, there's no doubt about it. But he has 7 tournament wins in Call of Duty, FormaL had 23, more time in Halo, etc, etc. In my opinion, FormaL is still number 1. I think Shotzzy can get there. I think you would argue that he probably will get there, in my opinion, to be the number 1 kind of controller player ever at some point in the future. But longevity does matter to me to some degree, and the fact that Shotzzy's not really been around that long in the grand scheme of things to how long FormaL's been around, and is still competing FormaL at the very highest level of Halo right now, and may even return to Black Ops 6, who knows? I mean, he's definitely teased about the possibility there. So to me, Shotzzy needs a bit more time if he wants to be considered here. Like, 7 championship wins in COD, to me, it isn't quite enough to overhaul where FormaL is. But if FormaL was to, let's say, retire from competing again after this season, give Shotzzy another, 2 years, another couple of championships, I think you can very much make the case. But intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below, of course. It was interesting just to share as well that clip from FormaL. This is from last year, March last year, where he said that Shotzzy was, basically the best player ever. So that is high praise, obviously, coming out of FormaL, and he's made it clear now, FormaL, for many years, that he thinks Shotzzy is the absolute truth, as to many other players, as he said there in that one. I just thought this is kind of funny as well between Ghosty and Parasite, because we know that Ghosty's on Thieves now, having a good time. Parasite's controversial figure often in the community. But to be fair, is Parasite wrong about this whole situation? Obviously, they're trolling, right, to some degree. Parasite, even in the replies, are like, we're good boys. Like, come on, like, what do you care so much about this? And this is a pretty old clip anyway. But still, it's a pretty funny one that Ghosty's career on OpTic was in some part because the OpTic boys were asking around, and Ghosty was like a top guy, and they talked to Parasite. I'm pretty sure, I think it was maybe Shotzzy that talked to Parasite or someone, and he was like, yeah, Ghosty's the man to get, and of course the rest since then is history. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.